Hey Archery Talk, this is Lucas, and today I have my long-term review of the Bear Whitetail Maxx. This bow has an axle-to-axle length of 31 inches, a brace height of 6.5 inches, and a rated speed of 339 feet per second. Now, if there's one outlier in all of the bows I've tested this year, the Bear Whitetail Maxx is it. When I reached out to Bear and asked if they wanted to take part in the reviews and a shootout this year, I assumed they were going to send me their flagship bow, the Persist. But they threw me a curveball and sent me the Whitetail Maxx instead. This is what I would call like a mid-level bow, and realistically it costs no more than half as much as any other bow I have tested this year. And ultimately, I'm kind of glad they decided to do that. Let's talk about why right now. This bow is powered by the Eco cams. Those are the same cams found on their flagship bows, so it's pretty impressive to see them on a bow in this price range. And they're pretty versatile. This bow can go from 26 to 30 inches of draw length just with a rotating mod, and it's got 4 different let-off positions available for you. So you can go 75, 80, 85, or 90%. I kind of find my home in between 80 and 85 depending on how I'm feeling on a given day, but your mileage is obviously going to vary. Features on this bow include a skeletonized riser, and I've got to say, for a bow in this price point, this riser looks really nice to me. We've got a cable roller guard here, and we've got limb dampeners and limbs that go from 55 to 70 pounds, so 15 pounds of adjustment in the limbs, and if you want something a little smaller, you can go 45 to 60 pound limbs. It's all up to you. Now let's talk shooting this bow, and if I'm being honest, if I had to close my eyes and shoot this bow against some of the others I've tested this year, I would have a very hard or impossible task of knowing that this bow cost half the price. The draw cycle on here is, I would call that in the middle of the road amongst those bows. It's a very smooth and easy draw early on. There's a slight hump into the valley, but nothing obnoxious, especially considering the bow's rated speed. The draw itself is really good. Once you get to full draw, the stability is good, although I would not say it is among my favorites this year. It's a shorter bow, and the grip is not exactly what I would like. It is flat in the front, but it rounds off on the edges, and I don't really feel like that gives me the confidence I'm looking for when I'm holding a bow at full draw. But that is just my opinion. You may have a different thought on what you'd like out of a grip. After the shot, the bow is about average in terms of noise and vibration, but that's a minor miracle, again, when you consider the price point here. There are bows that I've shot this year that are, very similar in terms of how this one feels after the shot. The one caveat I'd say is this bow feels a little bit different as far as once you let the shot go, it tends to break towards you, the front of the bow, the top comes inside, which is not an experience I'm getting on any of my other test bows this year. I think I saw something similar with the Darton bows when I shot them at the ATA show. They also seemed like the top line to come in a little bit more towards me, but to be fair, that was 5 months ago, and it's kind of unfair to make a direct comparison to those two bows without having a chance to shoot them side by side. Heads up, Darton, I would very much like to do that in the near future. To test for speed, I set up the Whitetail Maxx with 70 pounds of draw weight and about 30.25 inches of draw length. I shot a 350 grain arrow, an average of 334 feet per second. That is the second fastest of any bow I tested this year. When I used the heavier 455 grain arrow, same thing, 296 feet per second. Again, second fastest bow of any I have tested this year. When you consider the draw cycle, that is incredible, and it's also only 5 feet per second below its advertised speed. Mind-blowing. Again, I do not know how they've packed that much kind of performance into a bow that feels like this at this price point. It is truly an impressive combination. About the only area where the Whitetail Maxx kind of is lacking, or at least showing where it sits in the price structure, is in fit and finish. The limbs, the camo on the limbs is kind of rubbing a little bit weird, especially along the edges. The graphics on the limbs look a little bit faded, and I've got a little string split happening up here on one of my cables. Not exactly a dangerous situation by any means. I've continued to shoot this bow with that with no worries, and I don't think it's a worry at all, but just something to consider. But again, this bow costs 600 bucks. How can I complain about any of those things? Those are really small, tiny issues when you're considering the price of this bow. Again, fit and finish for me is the bottom of the barrel when it comes to, what I'm considering for the winners of a shootout. Fit and finish is worth considering in a point, because if you're spending 1,200 bucks on a bow or $1,400 on a bow, you want a bow that looks the part. But when you're spending $600, you can forgive a lot of that. And that's really where I finish on this bow. If you're looking for a bow that's at a great price, that performs really well and shoots really nice, go to your local dealer and check out the Bear Whitetail Maxx for yourself.